Testimony continued today in the most notorious criminal trial in Richland. Dr. John Boyle is accused of killing his wife, Maureen.
The 12-year-old son finally took the stand.
The boy confidently told the jury it was his decision to testify against his father.
I heard a scream. I heard a thud. It was about this
We,
loud.
the jury, find the defendant guilty.
I decided at an early age that our trauma should not be what defines us. It's what we choose to do with it that does. I'm here to share my unique perspective on true crime, mental health, society, and popular culture, albeit with a slight sense of humor. I'm Collier Landry, and welcome to my show. Let's try that again. Guys, I'll just be honest with you. It has been a frazzling day. There's a lot of miscommunication over here. And sorry, guys. Oy vey, I'm muted. Mover Nation, what's going on? Oh, oy vey. Well, I had a whole thing. And here we Oh, I need a redo. I need a restart on this one today. Technical difficulties. Wherever you may be and however you may be watching or listening, thanks for making me a part of your day. Guys, this program wouldn't be what it is without you. So thank you so much. If you'd like to support the show financially via Patreon, here on YouTube memberships, there are links to all that stuff in the show notes of today's episode. And yeah. Oy vey. If there ever was an oy vey, here we are. So there's been a lot going on this week in the world of true crime. We have Ali Abdulaban, who was a TikTok star turned double murderer who was convicted this week. We had a wild roller coaster. That is the Karen Reed trial. And it went on a midweek hiatus. And then the verdicts came out in the Chad Daybell trial, followed by the decision on whether or not he will face the death penalty for the deaths of his wife, Tammy, Lori Vallow's children, JJ and Tylee Ryan. And then, of course, the biggest news out there this week, I got a haircut. But you thought I was going to say something else. As I always like to say, guys, I am not a lawyer. I'm not a psychologist. I do not work in law enforcement. I'm just a guy who has been through a lot of shit. That's it. That's all I got for you. And plus, of course, I have, as always, my little sidekick sitting in her cage next to me. She is ready to make her debut, of course, before I get into the weekend update. Marisol, come here. Well, the princess isn't ready to come out yet of her little playpen. Come on. Here we go. Come here. Say hi to everybody. Everybody wants to see you. I've decided it's never a bad thing to have a dog on, guys. So this is my little Chihuahua. This is Marisol. For those of you that do not know, so she is a very big part. She sits right next to me as we go over all these wonderful things. It's sort of like Three Men and a Baby when he reads the Sports Illustrated to the baby. All the morbid things. Mike Tyson fighting Michael Spinks. I don't know if you guys remember that, but anyway, she sits right here. She's going to get her own camera one of these days. One of these days, very soon. I want to give a special thank you. Speaking of channel members, we have a new channel member joining at the Movers Day level yesterday, Brenda S. I also want to say thank you to Jen DeSemio, who rejoined 2 days ago, and Hope 8 Fear joined the Movers level 3 days ago on Thursday, May 30th, I believe. And I also, Cat Loves Catskills a couple weeks ago, re-upped her membership as well. Thank you guys so much. We also have a new Patreon member as well that I want to announce, but of course pulled that that document went away. Guys, it's been a day. Let me tell you, lot of miscommunication and I'm a little frazzled, so I apologize. Susan Gardner joined at the Thrivers level, the $7 level. Thank you so much for your membership. I really appreciate it. So this is, like I said, been the week in true crime. And obviously the true crime event of the year, the trade show CrimeCon was going on in Nashville, or as they like to refer to it, Nash Vegas. So for those of you that went there, I was not there. I was here in Los Angeles, but I've been to CrimeCon several times, and I will be back probably next year. But coming up this week, or I'm sorry, this month. So for all my channel members at the $7 level and higher, whether you're a channel member, whether you're a Patreon supporter, we do Collier's AV Club, which is a live AV club where we watch live documentaries or true crime shows, things of that nature. And you guys get to engage with me, and it's a really fun experience. I do that for my members. And this month, it's going to be on Sunday, June the 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. But we're also going to do a vote on all the platforms. So on the YouTube membership and on the Patreon page, we're going to do a vote to see what we're actually going to watch this month. So very excited about that. Tina Luffman, thank you so much for rejoining as a member, 14 months as well. Thank you. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Lynn Britton, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube channel member as well. And yeah, so if you guys join, no sound. Oh, yes. It's all good. It's no one's fault. It's just one of those days. Miscommunication abounds. I don't know. The planets did not align this morning. Who knows? I don't know. Or maybe they did line up. I don't know. Court McNeil knows about these things. Court, can you tell us, is it a misalignment of planets, or is it a lining of the planets that causes the miscommunications? A lot of people say Mercury retrograde is one of those things too. I don't know. I don't know where we're at with that. So a lot of you have tuned in because, and thank you so much for tuning in. As you know, I've been talking a little bit about this Karen Reed case because all of you reached out to me and said, Collier, have you seen this? And then I have friends who are very, very, very into the Karen Reed case as well. And they said, what is going on with this, man? You have this unique perspective on all this stuff. What do you think? So I spoke to a couple people this week about it. I interviewed somebody last week as well, and I'm getting my head around what a nightmare this is. And what one of the things that I'm going to say about Karen Reed is I was going through thumbnails to make photos to make thumbnails for the episode. And I kind of noticed, and I talked about this with one of the people who commented on my video with Mark Bedero that came out yesterday. That's doing really well. Thank you so much for everybody watching that video and liking and subscribing. We have so many new members on this platform in the last 24 hours. I greatly appreciate it. But I was noticing and look, I'm not here to, I don't like talking about people's looks or anything like that, but it is very visible that this has really weighed on her. And I'm sure everyone that's been involved in this case, but just kind of looking over the years, I don't know what to say about this young woman other than this whole thing is just a absolute mess. And I think my guest yesterday, Mark Bedero, said it best. Why is it even at trial? Who knows? There's so much, and there's some other theories too. I had a few people reach out to the channel exclusively. They're like, look, we grew up in Canton, Mass. We want to talk to you privately off the record about things that are going on. So I'm interested in engaging with some of these folks that have reached out because it seems like there's just so much going on. I was even discussing with someone earlier today, like, do you even think the trial is maybe possibly a cover for other things? So, by the way, dyed the hair darker. I know a lot of you people like that. A lot of you guys like my darker hair. Even my dad says, my adopted father, George, your hair looks really good. We saw it on Instagram. We really like it. My hair gets really light in the summertime, and I spend a lot of time. I live in Southern California. I spend a lot of time outdoors. If you watch my little boxing videos and stuff, I'm always outdoors working out. So I enjoy these types of things. So my hair gets a little light. So people were very happy to see it being darker, getting darker. My hair is a big deal, even a bigger deal than the conviction of a former president this week. But I won't get into that. So a few cases that have caught my eye this week. So are you guys familiar with this guy, Ali Abulaban? So I'm going to pull up a video here, but so this guy is, you talk about like content creation and being here and being someone who has his life out and very public and makes content for you guys to comment on, good, bad, and different, whatever, what have you. I kind of scratched the surface on this case months and months ago and this guy's story. And I thought to myself, like, as with all these things, in my own personal opinion, it's always about, it always feels like it's just such a waste of, it's obviously like a waste of life, right? And a waste of a life. And I can remember something very specific that my grandmother, who's my father's father, said before she passed away. She's talking about my father, and she never said whether she thought he was guilty or innocent. But what she did say to me is she said, "What a waste of talent." And that always stuck with me. And of course, I felt that way myself. But it's one of those things when you're thinking about cases in true crime, and this is my very human perspective as the son of both a murderer and a victim, or perpetrator and a victim, well, murderer and a victim, is that I think about the really human aspect of this. But when I look at this guy, Ali Abulaban, who is here in Southern California, I believe San Diego County, this gentleman was charged with the first-degree murder of his wife, his sort of estranged wife at that time, and what people assumed was her lover, but it was really a friend, but may have been a lover situation, and apparently a friend of his as well. This gentleman was charged with this and was convicted this week on both counts, obviously, on first-degree murder of both these individuals. Will face most likely the rest of his days incarcerated. But I started thinking about, and I'm going to cover this in a separate video because I find it very interesting. But you think about, this guy was parodying Al Pacino's character from Scarface, right? Carlos Brigante. And God, what a great movie. I need to watch. That was Carlito's Way. That was Carlos Brigante. No, Scarface. Sorry. Let's see. I'm getting my Al Pacino characters who are drug lords confused because he played amazing roles in both films. But but in Scarface, so he did these Scarface parodies and on TikTok and became like a star early pandemic, like 2019, 2020 pandemic, 2021, committed this heinous act. And just what a wild story. And you think about wasted talent, but here's the thing, is he testified in his, I don't even know if you could call it like defense. He testified on his behalf in I really don't even quite understand what he was doing, because it just feels like, even with his defense, what a lack of, I don't know, just what a bad judgment call. So we're going to pull this up. This is a little segment from Court TV. They're talking about this on his conviction, and let's see what they have to say.
181.
So verdict. This is the actual verdict being read.
The time, Amanda Abulaban testified he was at one time a close friend of. He claimed that the killings were a crime of passion, committed in the moment, heat of passion. But the state claimed that these murders were premeditated and planned out by Abulaban beforehand. So let's go back into that courtroom, rewind it, and listen to the jury handing down Abulaban's fate.
In the Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of San Diego, the people of the State of California, plaintiff versus Ali Nasser Abulaban, defendant, case number SCD 292181, verdict. We, the jury in the above entitled cause, find the defendant, Ali Nasser Abulaban, guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree of Rayburn Cardenas.
Silence. Nothing.
Now, obviously, his obviously the family of the victims is cheering behind him, and I don't blame them. Guys, I really don't. I remember when my father's counts were read that he was convicted. I remember everyone, and I was not there, but I remember hearing, and it was documented in the courthouse, they were cheering outside the courtroom because of my father's conviction. I think everybody has a right. This man has put these families through hell, and yeah, I mean, it might be poor form, it may not be. I don't really know, but you know, they got the justice that they were seeking, and that is a rare thing in this country sometimes. So for them to get that, I don't really see anything wrong with it, honestly. I know it might be poor form to some. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Of Rayburn Cardenas Baron in violation of Penal Code Section 187, parent A, as charged in count 2 of the information. And we further find the allegation that in the commission and attempted commission of the above offense, the defendant Ali Nasser Abulaban intentionally and personally discharged a firearm, to wit, a handgun, and proximately caused great bodily injury and death to a person within the meaning of Penal Code Section 12022.53, parent D, to be true. Special circumstance as to count
29-year-old man.
And we further find the allegation against the defendant Ali Nasser Abulaban that he has in this proceeding been convicted of more than one offense of murder in the first or second degree within the meaning of Penal Code Section 190.2, parent A, parent 3, to be true. Dated May 29th, 2024, jury 4-person.
Yeah.
Same title, same cause, verdict. We, the jury in the above entitled cause, find the defendant Ali Nasser Abulaban guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree of Anna Abulaban in violation of Penal Code Section 187, parent A, as charged in count 1 of the information.
Yes.
And we further find the allegation that in the commission and attempted commission of the above offense, the defendant, Ali Nasser Abulaban, intentionally and personally discharged a firearm, to wit, a handgun, and proximately caused great bodily injury and death to a person.
Here's the thing. So now they bring on this
Schiffer
panel here.
is here.
They bring on this panel here on Court TV. I don't know what's up with this dude's glasses. As someone who's very pleased, if you see my older videos, I have a pair of green glasses, not quite that obnoxious. I don't know what's going on with this dude's glasses, but and the matching suit jackets. I don't know about this. Like, you guys don't need to color coordinate. That's my opinion. I'm not here to really weigh in on people's outfits, but I will say, I am curious. Like, did they color coordinate this before they came out? Then he's like, I want to look different, so I'm going to go no tie polo shirt, and then I'm going to wear green glasses on top of this. I don't know. I'm very thrilled that I don't have to wear glasses because I got LASIK surgery. As you guys know, if you've been following me for a minute, I got LASIK surgery back at the end of December. Game changer, life changer. Big shout out to Court McNeil, who said you should do it. It has not let me down, that's for sure. But these guys weigh in because what he did. Okay, so what this guy did is he testified in his own defense, which is like never a good idea, really, especially if you're guilty. But he wants to explain himself, and that's where it gets really, really bad. So that's what they're going to get into.
It's great to see you all on this Wednesday. That reaction inside of the courtroom to the verdict from the gallery. Daryl, your thoughts on if that was an okay thing to even happen?
Obvious that the jury,
who are very happy that justice is served for these victims.
It's obvious that the jury did what the audience, the gallery, thought they should have done.
Is this guy Daryl?
I think it's inappropriate.
Doesn't he look like Donnie Deutsch's brother? Doesn't he look like you guys know who Donnie Deutsch is? Conservative comedy. It looks like Donnie Deutsch's brother. Because I think it was a Trump ally as well, if I'm not mistaken. Donnie Deutsch.
The gallery thought they should have done. So I think it's inappropriate to clap.
Talking on the witness stand.
The defense's argument that this was second degree and not first degree murder was likely not going to fly because there was a lot that he
this is interesting.
kind of was able to get across, I think not even just to the jury, but to the gallery. I think that's part of the reason that they reacted as they did. He was such a force to behold. He was incredibly angry, vehemently angry during cross-examination. And I just don't think a jury can get over something like that in a case like this.
Josh, did he have to take the stand? You know, that's where they heard it. The jury didn't know what we knew from behind the scenes of him yelling at the reporter, yelling at the judge.
There was so much going on in this case, and he successfully painted himself as a convicted killer when he gets up there and talks about he's admitting this. I remember watching this, talking with Molly, talking with Daryl and my other colleagues. This was really a big gamble, but to trade, you don't shoot.
All right, let me see if I can get to this. Yeah, here we
Anna
go.
put the defense up in the air and screamed, right? For mercy?
She was screaming because she was scared.
And you made the choice to fire another shot, correct?
No.
Correct? That's what you did.
That's what happened, but I didn't. Why the would I want to shoot Anna?
You stood in front of Anna and racked your gun right in front of her head, correct?
I don't remember.
And then you shot her in the forehead, correct?
I don't even remember how that happened. I just remember heading to the door.
You shot her in the forehead, correct?
That's what happened?
You put a bullet in her head and it went through the back, correct?
Correct.
So this is the thing that's strange to me. You know, for a long time, I was, as I tried to relate to like my life and figuring it out. And again, I share my experience with you guys. I'm not trying to make this all about me, but as a neurodivergent person, I try to relate this way to people. But this, for me, this is something that was always really difficult for me to wrap my head around, which is, do you remember? Because I remember, you guys ever see that movie Meet Joe Black, which came out like a bajillion years ago, starring Brad Pitt and Claire Forlani and Anthony Hopkins? Anthony Hopkins is in it. That's a good reason to see it. But he meets her, and then he goes off, and they separate, and he gets hit by a bus, and then he comes back into her life, but he doesn't remember anything. It's kind of like a ghost thing. It's a really odd film. But I always think it is in times like this, in situations where really horrific things happen, right? Whether or not you're the perpetrator of them, do we just naturally block these things out of our minds, right? We don't remember. Like here he is trying to say, I don't remember. And I feel like, yeah, a little bit of this is, maybe victim narcissism, or he's trying to have a little bit of, people feel sorry for him. I mean, after all, like he was a TikTok person and he is an actor, so he could be doing that. But I do think in a lot of ways that maybe perhaps he really doesn't remember doing this. And he kind of gets a little flippant with the prosecutor of, well, but if you say that's what I did, then that's what I did. I mean, first of all, this is a terrible idea to put this guy on the witness stand for sure. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And but he does, like, I just remember going to the door. So I often wonder, is that a natural reaction that we have when we commit something so heinous? I mean, I often wonder if, like, I think people get into car accidents and they don't remember how they got on the scene, or they don't remember the day. They're like, what happened to me? So maybe you're just there's so much in your mind that when you go through this level of trauma, despite the fact that you are the perpetrator, that maybe you do forget that. I often wondered that with my father when trying to get a sort of confession out of him later on in my life, which you see in my film. And I often wonder, like, is that a defense mechanism naturally in our mind? I mean, it very well could be. It very well could be. Again, thank you guys so much for the super stickers. I really appreciate it. Yeah, here Sarah Holman says, I don't remember my car accident. Yeah, absolutely. Sharon, Charme Lily. It's no excuse, but I think the dude was so tweaked, stayed up for days doing lines and lost his. He reminds me of my son's abusive father that I dealt with for 2. Yeah, I mean, like I'm not giving this guy an excuse. This is horrible. He's gonna spend the rest of his life in prison. But I think a lot of times we try to like wrap our heads around like how, and he talks about, he was jealous. There was this jealous rage, etc., which none of this, like jealousy, envy, all this, none of this is any good. I see when watching this, a big swallow Your eyes, I can tell this hits you to the core. It's got your emotions going. You're so empathetic, yet I see it hits deep. His next move care to you. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. And JR says, I think it's like when you confront a narcissist and they say, believe what you want. They don't want to admit it, but they also know they're a caught. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of shame, right? And that's one of the things is, again, as I say, I am not a psychologist. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not in law enforcement. I'm just a guy who's been through a lot of shit. I'm not, pathologizing or analyzing or, talking about anyone in any way other than, or assessing them other than just my own personal experience, which is, yeah, when you confront someone who is being, they do feel shame, the narcissists do feel shame, and they know what's going on, and they don't want to admit it. And clearly this is what it is. Oh, I just went to the door. Oh, I just did this. So again, a lot of this plays out, and and here we go. So anyways, in the hair, the dark hair is good for you. Well, yes, thank you so much. And now I've got it going the other side. I usually do the, oh, it's getting messed up. My hair guy was like, don't let me see your hair be a mess. Put product, he said, before I leave the salon. He's like, put product in your hair. I do put product in my hair. It just gets messy. I have a life. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, guys. But thank you. Car accident amnesia, says McNeil, is usually a result of shock. Unless the dude was in shock, he did the crime after the fact. Yes, perfect. And yes, thank you so much, Shannon, 1989. I am very lucky to have a full head of hair. And I'm very pleased with that and very grateful. And it grows like a weed too.
One shot and you killed her, right?
I didn't know she was dead.
You knew that shooting Anna in the head would kill her, correct?
No.
You didn't know that?
I mean, I know that anybody getting shot in the head, that could be fatal, of course.
Daryl, your reaction to him on the stand under cross.
He could have done better. He could not have done worse. Oh, I didn't know if she was dead. When you get shot in the head, it could end up being death.
Should he have owned that? I mean, he'd already owned the shooting.
I'm sorry, I'm as someone, as I say, I am both the son of a victim and a perpetrator, murderer. And I don't mean to chuckle. There's nothing funny about this. 2 people lost their lives and families have been destroyed forever and ever. And his family, and apparently his younger brother also, and I should pull this up. His younger brother also apparently was arrested in the Virginia, Washington, D.C. area for discharging a firearm into traffic. He went and stole a firearm and then took it from a firing range and then fired it into traffic because he wanted to go to jail as well. I don't know if that's separate from Ali's going to prison himself, but I'm going to pull this up. Or maybe that was totally wrong. Hold on. Former TikToker Ali Abdullah brother. Yeah, I read something about his brother, but maybe that is not true. Hold on. That might have been some tabloid conjecture. I'll have to find this. I found out has a younger brother. Yeah. Of course, this came from Reddit. Sorry, this came from Reddit, guys. I'm not gonna read this. Obviously, this article was called Fauquier News in June 24. Criminal complaint against Gainesville, Florida. Of course, all the wacky stuff happens in Florida. The arraignment of Sammy Nasser Abulaban of Gainesville, which was scheduled for April 12th in General District Court, was postponed. And oh yeah, look at this. Share this tab. Here we go. And was postponed, charged April 3rd with 3 felony counts of discharging maliciously in an occupied vehicle, 3 felony counts of using a firearm in commission of a felony. So that is supposedly his brother. That is according to this Reddit post, but this is Reddit. So, we got to take it. We got to take it with a grain of salt, I'm afraid. But yeah, anyways, Ali Abulaban going up the river for, God knows how long. And he will be sentenced. I believe the sentencing is June 25th.
It took some time before we saw this reaction from him.
Here he is.
But Molly, what are your thoughts on just his demeanor overall? We saw the thing after
There's his beautiful wife
was already read. It took some time before we saw this reaction from him. But Molly, what are your thoughts on just his demeanor overall?
I mean, I think it's so interesting because he's a TikTok star, right? So there's this element of drama. Whenever we're dealing with a celebrity, whether it's a social media celebrity or a movie star, and that we have them on the stand, we have to kind of parse out whether we believe the act that they're putting before us this time. I mean, he was kind of like an actor. He would do these little skits on TikTok. And so I think he comes with an element of disbelief generally, right? And
again, I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this. Again, unfortunately, wasted talent. Cat Loves Catskills, thank you so much for the super chat. Super chat. I'm learning what the difference is. In my program, these show up differently, by the way. So I see super stickers, I see super chats. Anyways, yes, wacky Florida. There's wackiness everywhere. I mean, this is wacky California. Wacky. He's in wacky California. The other guy's in wacky Florida. I mean, who knows? Catherine Billinghurst. I'll never forget seeing Collier's story. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Anyways, I'm looking here through your comments, guys. My son's father would not do that crap, imagining those things happening to him. It's an unfortunate scenario. Again, more young lives wasted. And maybe you should have just stuck with TikTok because, I think that's the most difficult thing is trying to understand why these people who have seemingly fulfilling lives and can just move on. I think that's the biggest thing is like when you discuss the Karen Reed case is, and as I learn, because I'm delving into this, I'm talking to more people. Like I told you, I spoke to Mark Betterow yesterday on the podcast, which you guys saw, or a lot of you saw. A lot of people saw that interview, which is awesome. Just something as simple as like motive, right? Like, where is the motive for someone to completely disrupt their life and throw it away by taking the life of someone else? Especially when you're not married, in case Karen, she's not married, she's not with. Give me the motive here of why you just don't walk away from a relationship, why you feel the need to take someone's life. It's none of it makes any sense. As I continue to dive into Karen Reed's story, none of it makes any sense other than something else is going on. Somebody had written and said maybe perhaps the trial is a cover for other things that are going on to sort of distract the public. Who knows what's going on in that town? I have no idea. Again, I find the irony of her being also from Mansfield, Massachusetts, and I'm from Mansfield, Ohio. But what a disaster. Now, the other thing that was going on this week, we had the conviction of Chad Daybell, which seemingly like went under the radar because I wasn't. He was convicted and then swiftly moved into the death penalty assessment phase right after. And obviously, as you guys know, Chad Daybell was sentenced late Friday night on to death for the murders. Well, there's a lot of things he was charged with. It was like 9 criminal counts, but or eight total, 9 in the original or redacted whatever it is, the charging document. He was the big highlights are his wife Tammy Daybell, and then the children of Lori Vallow, JJ Vallow, and Tylee Ryan, who children who have been lost in all of this, and then obviously lots of layers of insurance fraud and things of that nature. And he is facing the death penalty, which to me is always a weird thing. I remember debating the death penalty when I was in high school in my freshman government class, and how like talking about like if my father would have been given the death penalty, how would I have thought about that as well? And I think a lot of it's again not a fun conversation to have, but you think about it, is you have a scenario where that is the wheels of justice turning, and that's chalk it up to the game. That's how this works: is you commit the crime, you do the time, and if the time is literally we take your life, then that's what you're working with, right? But on the flip side, it has this very sincere and real and dramatic human impact that affects so many people. So on that note, sounding off on this is Colby Ryan, who is Lori Vallow's son, who was a subject of the documentary Sins of Our Mother, directed by Sky Borgman, who was at CrimeCon this weekend. Sky Borgman, and if you guys have not seen Sins of Our Mother, it's a very poignant documentary. It's and Colby is in his mid to late 20s, had his mother in his life up until very recently, and then lost his younger siblings in something that he just obviously, and none of us can explain it. It's interesting to hear his perspective, but let's listen to what he had to say, because I think it's really important.
It's a weird feeling. You never wish harm on anybody, regardless of what they've done to you. But at the end of the day, it's good that he can't hurt anybody else, and that's what matters. So that's really my feelings on that. I can't say I was surprised. It felt like something that made sense, but I can't say that I feel good about it. But it does feel good to know that it feels like things are concluded, if that makes sense. It was hard. I didn't expect to have the reaction I did. I tried to just read through it. But when you're there and you're sitting there and he's right there, it just brought everything out that I've been feeling. It was really hard to say what I needed to, but a part of me feels a lot more healed, and spending time with everybody here, it feels like a healing I couldn't have imagined. If that makes any sense, but yeah.
So this young man is obviously bravely sort of taking these questions. I think the main takeaway here is that, you don't want to see anyone's life taken, but the overwhelming, it's very bittersweet, right? You don't want to, you might operate under the guise of an eye for an eye, but really it's very tragic to think about this. And Chad Daybell does have 2 grown children that are still here, and what they are going through as well, because obviously he's a monster that took their mother from them, but also still their father. It is a weird, very, very bizarre cognitive dissonance that you are dealing with when you are in that situation. And I don't envy Colby Ryan at all. And I've been in that position. It's not fun. It's not a good place with his mother. And then, just the massive amount of destruction. And I would agree. Yeah. And Chad Daybell, he himself will believe that he is some sort of religious figure, is there to save the world, and is choosing 144,000 people, as somebody was explaining here in the comments, 144,000 souls that were deemed redeemable, and he was in charge of that, and talks of zombies and things of that nature. I mean, it's so beyond bizarre. It makes it very difficult to comprehend. But here is the moment that a jury did read out the death penalty in that case. And there we go.
The layman's explanation of this verdict is that the jury has made a finding that it would be appropriate to impose the death penalty as it relates to counts 1 through 6 in the amended indictment. And so pursuant to Idaho Code 192515, the court is directed that the defendant would be sentenced to death on those counts.
and then they pause the court. They pause the whole court thing. The court monitor again, or court microphone rather. It just wackiness. But again, a lot of people talk about closure, and we're getting into closure a little bit later because Michelle Troconis was also sentenced on Friday. A lot happened this week, guys. A lot happened in a very brief week. And again, the haircut, that was the biggest news of the week. No, in all seriousness, the what a wild ride of a week. But and again, in my opinion, is justice. We try to pursue closure, we try to pursue justice, or what we think of it. And if this person gets this sentence or this, then we'll feel good about it. The fact is, you never feel good about it. You never feel good about it because everybody loses. Everybody loses. Nobody wins. Everybody loses. The victims, the families of the perpetrator, everyone loses, guys. It's not a zero-sum game. Everyone loses. The community loses, the court loses, everyone loses. It is terrible. Law enforcement is forever affected by this. I have many friends that work in law enforcement in varying degrees, from dealing with things that affect children to substances that are illegal that come over the border in the United States. And all of these cases affect these people. It is really, really something. Speaking of cases that have a wide-reaching effect, really, I think literally across the nation, because now I think everybody I know is talking about this. This week, the Karen Reed trial entered its, fifth week? And we heard from this Brian Higgins character about these text exchanges. Again, as I learn more and more about this case, I am disturbed and more disturbed and more disturbed as to what happens, as to what's going on, and as to how this is even happening. Like, it's getting cringy, and it's gotten so cringy to me that it's nowhere near over. I'm absolutely fascinated, and I really hope it has a positive outcome for the defendant, because it's just, everything that I've seen makes me just completely skeptical of this entire case. The other thing is that, again, there's still no justice for John O'Keefe. Like, what does that even look like? Why is that? How does that even? The waters have been so muddied. It's so unfortunate. I don't know. And then we have Diddy and all that. Oh, we'll get into that. But again, Karen Reed's case is, I can't wait to speak more about it this week. I can't wait to watch more of the trial. But this week it was dark for the last 3 days because the children of John O'Keefe were testifying, which knew her as a mother figure in their life. And they had lost both their mother and their father. Previously to that, John O'Keefe had stepped up to fill that role for these children. Now they've lost him. And so they were testifying in court. And I explained a little bit in my interview with Sonny Slaughter, but also, and speaking to Mark Betterow, but also just here on this program, talking about the very real, like, the cognitive dissonance that exists for a child that is testifying, because not only are they told a lot of things, I'm sure, by not only the community and by the people that are in their lives, but about Karen Reed, but they also see that connection with that person across from them in the courtroom that was the last person to see their father or their father figure alive. There was that, according to the prosecution, is the last person, according to the state's case, is the last person to see that father figure in their life alive. And that, to me, is so gut-wrenching, and it creates such cognitive dissonance because, again, I sat across from my father. Very difficult to testify against someone, even though I know he did it, even though I heard it happen. It's still the last person who saw my mother alive, and it really tugs on you. And I'm related to both of them. It's a real thing. So my heart goes out to these kids and having to step up. We'll see how this trial plays out in the next like 5 million weeks or however long it's going to take. It seems it's 5-6 weeks. Apparently they've announced they're going to go longer days in the trial too, to try to get it done with. I don't even know. I haven't even delved into the judge or the prosecutor, any of these people that are on the other side of the aisle. This whole thing is just such a mess to me. Claro que sí, Yanina Cueva. Claro que sí. Es muy difícil. Es muy difícil. Sí. Es la familia. Sí, verdad. Then we get to the other case of the week, the sentencing of Michelle Troconis in the death and you know, a lot of what I think is interesting is there's a lot of people that jump on this and they say when it comes to Michelle Troconis, she was found guilty of the murder of Jennifer Dulos. That is not true. And just to get this, to make a very specific point about this. So Michelle Troconis was charged with the following. It was, and I just had it pulled up. Of course I had to erase it, because why would it be, actually there's my history in my Google search. So she was charged and was found guilty on conspiracy to commit murder, tampering with physical evidence, and conspiracy to commit tampering with physical evidence and hindering the prosecution. That's what she was charged with. She was not charged in the murder of Jennifer Dulos. So I just wanted to clarify that, because that is not true. And a lot of people, obviously you click on the thumbnails, you see this content on YouTube, you see the content out there, news organizations even saying, which I think is not good, because it's not what she was charged with and not what she was found guilty of. It was the conspiracy charge. I think everyone overwhelmingly agrees that Fotis Dulos, the ultimate coward in this entire situation, is the one who is responsible for the murder of Jennifer Dulos, even though there has not even been a body found. But I think this is a really significant thing to point out, because she was not found guilty of the murder. She was found guilty of conspiring to cover all of it up, which is, pick your poison. Still really still really horrific to be charged with, and very serious. And you heard from Jennifer Dulos's family speaking out in their victims' impact statements at her sentencing, and then we'll get into what happened with her and what happened at the sentencing. We're going to play this little video from our friends over at NBC, I believe. So that is Jennifer Farber Dulos. God rest her soul.
5 years since Connecticut mother Jennifer Dulos's disappearance. Tonight, the woman convicted of helping plan and cover up her killing alongside Dulos's estranged husband now knows her fate. The judge sentenced Michelle Troconis to 20 years in prison.
Now, I know a lot of people will listen to him say that, hand down the sentence.
Suspended after 14.5 years, 5 years probation.
Following heart-wrenching statements from Dulos's family.
For years, we searched for her remains, tracking down every lead.
Troconis appearing emotional as the victim's daughter spoke, just 10 years old when she lost her mom.
Michelle Troconis to me is the reason I feel completely lost and alone on nights when I cannot sleep. She's the reason why I've blocked out my childhood, and that day so much I can barely remember it.
Jennifer Dulos went missing in May of 2019. Police quickly zeroed in on her estranged husband, Troconis' boyfriend, who sat down.
So this is something I've never seen before. I should watch. I'm going to have to pull this up on YouTube after. Hey, maybe we'll pull it up now. This is an interview that he did before he took his life. I don't know how I say this in the YouTube world. They have all these bots flagging everything.
With NBC's Dateline before he was charged with murder and later died by.
Fotis, did you have anything to do with Jennifer's disappearance?
I did not, but I'd like to leave it at that.
I did not, but I'd like to leave it at that. Hold on, just in case you missed that. This is what he said.
Anything to do with Jennifer's disappearance?
I did not, but I'd like to leave it at that.
Troconis.
I mean, that just sounds like a super guilty, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Obviously, again, as we all know, Fotis Dulos took the easy way out and, obviously didn't think about his children. 5 children have been affected by this. They had 5 children together. Unbelievable. And actually, I guess 6 technically, because Michelle Troconis has a daughter who also spoke at the sentencing hearing as well, talking about how much she loved her mother. And obviously this young lady's life is forever changed. And, I don't want to see ruin because as someone who's been through this is, it's the worst possible thing you can think of. But is it, you can still have a life. It's just, it's really, really hard. And I feel for everyone on all sides of this case, again, because as I always say, there's no winners in nobody. She's going to go she's going to prison for, eligible for parole after 14 and a half years, which, a lot of people thought was a very light sentence. I don't really know where I am on this whole thing because she did. I feel like in watching the trial and listening to a lot of it, she was withholding a lot. It felt like, especially in the beginning, I felt she should have probably been more cooperative. I do think that she was, I do think that she was blindsided by Fotis Dulos and manipulated, but I do also think that, she's been, sort of, wasn't accomplished. I mean, obviously a jury of her peers felt that she was guilty on all counts of this conspiracy charge and of this cover up. And this is a real this is a real thing. And she chose to do that. She chose to put her daughter in harm's way. And that to me is not cool. Hi, Suzanne from Suzanne Beverly Hills from Santa Barbara. Hello. Yes. And what an odd way to say that. Yes, I agree, JR. Yes, and that says it all, Tina Luffman.
Addressing their relationship today in court.
I deeply regret ever being in a relationship with Fotis Dulos and bringing my daughter, my family, and myself into our lives, into his life.
Still tonight, her attorney vowing to appeal in a case that's gripped the country. Emily Ikeda, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. And there's oh god, what is his name? I can't remember. Anyways, yeah, there you have it. So she's gonna go away for 14 and a half years, and I mean minimum. Again, her daughter will be 30 when she gets out, and these kids, the children of Jennifer Farber Dulos will now have to really are growing up without a mother and a father, and that sucks. Not gonna lie, that sucks. It's not a fun feeling. And so many questions. I think that's the thing that probably that's going to be the hardest, in my opinion, looking at this just from my own personal lens, is that these children are going to have so many questions growing up. So many questions. You see the same thing in the Karen Reed case with John O'Keefe's, kids, he took in after losing I believe a sister and a brother-in-law to cancer. Just awful. And then to see one sister died of cancer and one died. A lot of people were very quick to correct me on a lot of statements. Look, guys, I follow these things as best as I can. Just to clarify, follow them as best I can. I commit a lot of it to memory. If I mess up on a time, and say 2:30 instead of 2:27 when a text message, guys, I understand you guys are very detail oriented, and I appreciate that. Some of us just there's a lot going on in this little head up here, and this brain can only hold so much. But again, losing a sister, I believe, to cancer, losing the brother-in-law then to died of a heart attack or something later. In addition, later, the fact of the matter is these kids will have nothing but questions growing up, and that's the thing I think that sort of eats at you as when you deal with this level of, in these true crime cases, and when you deal with this level of violence and you deal with this level of national media attention, is like you don't have any answers to questions. The Farberjulos kids will never, will never know what happened to their mother. You know what I mean? At least I know what happened to my mother. I mean, I don't know if that's better or worse. I think at least I have that, closure, which I don't really necessarily believe in. I like the term answers. You have some answers, but there's never really going to be that true closure. Kind of find that closure within, in my opinion. The kids will, grow up with a lot of questions, and that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing, in my opinion. Yeah, I would agree. I do think that she should have helped investigators more if she knew anything, and that's a good caveat. If she knew anything. Yes, and Court McNeil, there is a way to correct with comments. Some of the comments have been atrocious. Yes, they have. Thank you so much, Tana. You did an awesome job of juggling all you can do. Yes, I do my best. Yes, Doris, it is a really, really sad case. But again, she was found guilty by a jury of her peers. Lester Holt, thank you. Yes, Lester Holt. That's it. Thank you so much. Cat loves cat skills. And Lulu Hertz, hello from Boston. Yeah, hello, Boston. The C's are back in the NBA Finals against the Dallas Mavericks. I grew up a Celtics fan, so and I was the guy wearing the Beat LA T-shirt in 2008, walking down the street the year the Celtics beat the Los Angeles Lakers. That was the first run with the Pau and Kobe Lakers. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to pull for the C's this time around. I'm not a huge. I don't know. I don't love the Celtics like I used to. Like the Celtics days of KG and Paul Pierce and Rajon Rondo and Doc Rivers as their coach, man. I don't know. I kind of miss Marcus Smart on the team. Please reach out to Tuesday Gazette. She has a great blog and knows the case of Karen Reed and would be happy to discuss the facts of the case. Sure. So Tuesday is the person's name, Tuesday Gazette. That's interesting. Tuesday Gazette. Yes, Tory Byrne about closure. And yes, absolutely, Cat loves cat skills. None of these people think about any of the families. It seems very selfish. I don't understand how these people think they'll get away with the crimes they commit. I would agree completely. With that. Absolutely. And we'll see. We'll see how all these things play out. But there is hope, at least for these kids, that they can have a life and they can have a good life and they can have, something. I'm definitely like living proof of that, not to, say whatever. But that is what it is. Mover Nation. That is, hey, oh yeah, it was CrimeCon this weekend. It was CrimeCon. I was not there. To anyone who went to CrimeCon in Nashville, or as I like to say, as my friend said, we're in Nash Vegas. I hope everyone had a great and wonderful time. And there you have it. There is your weekend update in the world of true crime. I guess that would be the week update because all this took place during the week, but you know what I mean. It's Sunday afternoon, Mover Nation, and we get through another one. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. To all my new channel members, look, guys, I think just crossed over. Hold on, while I have you all here. Oh yeah, we just crossed over 44,000 subscribers right now as I've been on. 44,085. Thank you so much to everyone who has been a part of that. That is pretty incredible. I am really grateful to all of you who have tuned in, who've watched the videos, who shared the videos, shared the channel. I work really, really hard at this. I don't know if some of you realize that making content is a very difficult job. If you don't know a lot about my story and you know about my true crime story, but you don't know where I come from, I was a filmmaker, cinematographer. I made a film and I started a podcast a couple of years ago because the state of the film industry was so wacky, but I had no idea, as someone who made content for big stars, musicians, companies, television shows, etc. I had no idea how difficult all this is would be, and it is. So I work really, really hard to bring you guys this content. So it is so amazing when you guys reciprocate and and subscribe and like and share. I can't tell you how much it means to me. It's really important. Creating content here on YouTube is difficult, but it's things like that keep me going, and I greatly appreciate it. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed and joined the channel. And yes, thank you, Mover Nation. Yes, okay. So on June 16th will be our AV club. There is going to be a vote for that. I'm going to pick 3 different docs that we can all watch. Choose one. The winning vote. We'll put it on Patreon. We'll put it on the YouTube channel members area. If you're a YouTube channel member or a Patreon member at the $7 level or higher, which I believe is the Thriver level, that gets you access to Collier's AV Club. And then at any level gets you access to the live channel meet and greets that we do on the last Sunday of every month as well. And yeah, but we're going to watch. I love doing the documentaries because we get to all watch and it's really fun and checking everything out. And I get to weigh in from my filmmaking background. I like doing that. So I guess it's a nice time for all of us to kind of hang out and watch a film. It's cool. It's cool. Collier's AV Club. That will be something on the 16th of June. And again, we'll do the actual let me see. I'll show you the slide. There it is right there. We'll do the actual vote this week as well to see what we're going to watch, which would be a lot of fun. Mover Nation, we get through another one. And I appreciate all of you. Here's the outro. Mover Nation, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to all my channel members and Patreon supporters. And for more exclusive content, behind the scenes videos, monthly VIP meet and greets and watch parties, please consider supporting me on Patreon or by becoming a YouTube channel member. If you like this video, check out this one right here or this one right here. And don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps with the algorithm. On that note, I'm Collier Landry. I'll see you on the next one. Good girl, Marisol. Good girl.